Greetings everyone, I am Talisman and welcome to my galaxy. Today we're going to be reviewing the movie Five Nights at Freddy's.
Hi, this is Mike. I was just calling to see if that job that you offered was still available.
Yes. The security guard.
I will take anything.
This place was huge in the 80s with the kids. They shut it down years ago. The owner's just not ready to let it go yet.
I will work and you will sleep.
I understand.
Give me your hand.
All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitor.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's, where fantasy and fun come to life.
Okay.
You must be new security guard.
Can I help you, officer?
Have you met them yet?
Met who?
Them. In the 80s, kids went missing. The police searched Freddy's top to bottom.
Hello?
They never found them. That's why the place shut down.
The movie Five Nights at Freddy's is based on the very popular video game franchise and book series by the same name. The movie is directed by Emma Tammy, who was the director of the 2018 film The Wind, and she also directed some TV series episodes, and some web series episodes as well. It stars Josh Hutcherson as the lead role in this movie. You may recognize him from the Hunger Games franchise, as he plays Peter in that. It also stars Elizabeth Lail, and you may recognize her from the 2019 film Countdown. And she also played Anna in the 2014 TV series Once Upon a Time. Now, with this review, I'm going to be spoiler-free as best I can. There's a lot of lore and history I know when it comes to the movie because of the games and the books. And I will touch a bit about that, but I'm going to try and remain spoiler-free for the entire video. Now, we're going to move into the plot. The plot, although fairly simple, like I said, has a lot of lore and history to it. And they tried to condense 3 games into one story plot, and I will touch about that later on. So the plot for the movie is you have Josh Hutcherson's character Mike, who is a very depressed, anxious, and down on his luck sort of guy. He is looking after his younger sister Abby, who is played by Piper Rubio in the movie. And they have a very strange relationship because Mike isn't seen as a very strong authority figure to Abby. And they're kind of at odds with each other, but at the same time, Mike is Abby's world. And that is shown through a lot of different drawings that she does in the movie. Mike is trying to keep custody of his sister because his aunt is trying to take her away. Because in his aunt's opinion, he's not fit enough to look after her because he can barely look after himself. Now, that's part of the start of the plot. Mike has a very tragic backstory, which is a very overarching sort of thing throughout the movie. And it's linked to not just who he is in the movie, but also his connection with Abby in a way, and why he's doing what he's doing. Because of his backstory, it triggers him to lose his job as a security officer for a mall. And he tries to find another job and is offered a job as a security officer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. And He takes the job reluctantly, and as he goes in there and starts to take the role of security officer, and look after the place, he starts to uncover the history of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria and the animatronics that are in there. Now, the animatronics are robots that are dressed up in to look like different animals. So you got the mascot Freddy Fazbear, as his name implies, he's a bear. You have Chica, who is a chick or a chicken, and she holds a little serving plate with a cupcake on it, Mr. Cupcake, and it's got little eyes and mouth opens up. Then you have Bonnie, who is a purple rabbit, or a bluey purple rabbit. And you also have Foxy, the pirate, who is a fox, but he has a hook for his hand, an eye patch. Well, in some media it has an eye patch, others it's just an eye that's taken out. And they're all animatronics. They're in there, they have a self-recharging lithium cell, so they never go flat, but that's beside the point. The point is, when it comes to this security job, the security officers don't last in this job very long. The pizzeria is run down. It's been closed since the 80s or early 90s. They don't really tell you exactly when it closed, but it does close. And the only thing we're really told about why the place needs to be guarded is to keep people out. The owner has very sentimental value to the place, and the technology within the animatronics is worth preserving. So that's basically the plot. There is a few little details like the animatronics, what really are they? Because they do come alive and they roam around the place. But that's obviously all encompassing within the plot. So it's very, like I said, very heavily involved with lore and history because of the games and the books. And that brings me to my first positive. With the actual story, you could walk in there knowing absolutely nothing about the movie or the franchise as a whole, and you would be able to pick it up and be carried through as if you already knew what it was going into the movie. So it was fantastic in that respect. I love that. I knew a little bit about it, like surface level sort of stuff, basic sort of knowledge. There were some people I went with who are very heavily into the franchise. I know people that I've spoken to prior to the movie or going to watch the movie who were very heavily into it, and they were telling me a lot of the lore and the history, and it was very interesting to listen to them. But I knew basically what I was expecting. And even for me who had questions after the movie, the questions were easy to answer because I already knew it and I was already handheld through it. So it was really good in that respect. You didn't have to know anything, which was perfect. Unlike a lot of things that we've seen in media lately where you may have to watch something else before you can watch this to get an idea. Which was really good. The setting, the lighting, the work, the use of shadow and the sounds, perfect. Loved it. The costumes for the animatronics were really good. They were bulky and looked awkward, but at the same time, there was a menacing side to them when they were active and they were doing their thing. But there was also this playful and sweet sort of side to them, which you do see in the movie at times. It's very, very interesting and very well done. I think they did really well with the costumes and the atmosphere surrounding the place. Another positive that I found and I linked to straight away when we actually got into the pizzeria and saw everything, even though it was run down, dusty and dirty, and the power wasn't the best, like the lights were flickering on and off and doors would lock on their own and open randomly throughout the, despite all that, the whole atmosphere and the presence that it had reminded me of my childhood, because I'm not sure about America or the rest of the world, but here in Australia, we had Pizza Hut. And when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, Pizza Hut was a place you could go to. There was a family restaurant. You could sit down as a family. You could go to the serving bars and get pastas and pizzas and salads and all these other treats that you wanted. And it was this whole family atmosphere. And when you actually look back at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria in the video clips they showed, and also the talking about it, it sort of brought that atmosphere to me and that nostalgic feel for something that we've once lost, which I felt was really good. Emma Tammy, as a director, did really well at pointing that out. Just like she did with pointing out the animatronics being menacing, bulky and clunky, but at the same time, they were swift, they were cute, they were, wholesome in a way. You get that contrast with it and the nostalgic vibe with it. It was really well done. The acting, I thought, was really good. Josh Hutcherson as Mike, he did really well portraying a very torn and emotional character. Someone who was really down on luck, someone who was struggling at every turn to try and make things work and to keep things going. Perfect. Elizabeth Lale's character, really well done, really emotive, really connect with her. And when you first find out who she is, those who are in the know clicked straight away, and those who didn't know, got filled in later on, which was perfect. Piper Rubio as Abby in the movie, she did really well. She played that innocent sort of child-like figure that you could connect with as an inner child, so to speak. She did really well with it. The whole cast was really good. There was a couple of things that happened in the movie where you could predict what was going to happen, but even though you could predict it, you weren't still fully prepared for it. They were really big positives for me. When it comes to movies like this, I'm not a big fan of children getting hurt or seeing bad things happen to kids, or even implied to happen to kids. I'm completely against that. However, for this particular movie, despite the themes that it did present, and they were quite dark themes at times, I felt it helped the movie. It helped create more of an atmosphere and tension and that fear factor that went into it. There is some moments in the movie where it wasn't gory, but it gave the implication that there was some horror themes to it. Some very dark horror themes to it. So, without going into too much detail, there's quite a few themes of abduction. There is some use of saws and guillotine-like sort of situations that can be quite dark, and I would not recommend this for anyone who is of a younger age, even though the franchise may be a game that they've played or seen or heard of. I would, if they're not at an age where they can handle it, or that they are unable to process and understand it's just a movie, I would not recommend it for kids. But as adults or teenagers or anything like that, I think this is fantastic for them. I think it's a really good, insightful movie, and insightful in the way that there's a price to be paid with everything you do. There's consequences to your actions. And these sort of themes that pop up, I think, are very interesting themes to explore for this movie and for people to actually understand. Like I said, Mike's backstory, without going into detail with it, blames himself for things that happened in the past, and he's trying to rectify it, but at what cost? So it's that sort of thing throughout the movie that pops up reoccurringly. The animatronics, are they good? Are they bad? What are they doing? Why are they acting the way they are? And why is it they have a childlike atmosphere to them at times? these are things that are explored. And I guess it comes back to Abby being the child in the movie, the main focus in the movie, being the innocence, the child that you can connect with and, explore through her eyes with things, which I found really good. There wasn't many negatives that I found about the movie. When I thought of it, I had a negative in my mind. I then started to think about the overall plot and what actually happened, and there was really no negatives to the movie when it came to how it was presented or what happened in it. There is a few scenes that stand out to me that I thought, oh, here's a plot hole. And then it's not until you apply your knowledge and your thinking about what's actually been said and what's happened in the movie that you sort of think, oh, that's all. They're not plot holes at all. You already know the answer. Like one point, there's a few murders that actually happen at the pizzeria in one point, and you sort of think, okay, well, why is no one investigating? And once again, you find that out, and it's all self-explained. So I can't really fault the movie in that respect. I didn't have a negative in a really big negative for it. There's a few iconic scenes, like I said, that really stand out to me. At one point, towards the ending of the movie, there is a shot with Abby holding Golden Freddy, who is another character in the movie, because there's two Freddy Fazbears. One's golden, one's normal. And there is a reason why there's two. But he's holding Abby's hand, and they're standing outside of the pizzeria looking at the front. And that was a perfect shot, how it was all displayed. Another iconic scene, which I thought was really well done. At one point in the movie, because it's not a spoiler or anything, the place is getting ransacked, and one of the guys doing the ransacking is hiding in the security hut because he's starting to see things on the cameras that don't quite add up. And as he's watching, he can see through one of the cameras on the monitors the animatronics. There's Chica and Bonnie and Mr. Cupcake, who's on the serving plate held by Chica. And they're just standing there, and they turn and look up at the camera. And it looks like they're looking directly into the camera, into the monitor, and see him. Even though they probably can't see him, or they can't see him in general because it's through monitors and cameras. But it's that eerie look as if to say, we know where you are, and you cannot hide from us. It just added this layer of creepiness to it, which I really enjoyed. I thought that scene really stood out to me. There's a few scenes in that particular part where the place is being ransacked that really stand out, and I won't go into all of them because I don't want to spoil it all. There is a few gruesome sort of scenes in that. You don't see anything. It's all implied through shadows or sound effects or your own imagination in a way. But it's still a level of fear and what's the word I'm looking for? Shock that sort of makes you go, wow, okay, I don't know the full extent what happened, or I may know what happened, but I didn't see it, and that's probably a good thing because it would probably be very gruesome. I'm not someone who likes horror. I prefer thrillers than horrors. But even I appreciated what they went for, and I thought that was really well done. I guess the only other scene that really stood out to me as being very interesting was the whole atmosphere when you first walk into the pizzeria and see it cobwebbed and dustied and run down. But when Mike hits when Elizabeth Lale's character hits the button, on the stage or by the stage, and the curtains draw back, and you actually see the animatronics, and they come alive and they start singing and moving. It sort of brought forth a wholesome atmosphere amongst all this creepiness and all this, bad stuff. There is a glimmer of friendly atmosphere to it. And once again, that's the childness coming out into it. It's really good. I don't think there's much more I can really say with it that will give it away. Like I said, there's a lot of lore and a lot of characters pop up, like Golden Freddy, which I mentioned earlier, who I wasn't very familiar with, and you sort of get an idea of that, why there is another Golden Freddy and there's Freddy. It's not stated or implied, but you sort of get the idea just from your own knowledge of things. There is also a lot of, how do I put it? A lot of themes of feeling of loss or being lost in it. And how they did that was quite good. Everyone had something to lose. Everyone had something that they're trying to struggle with in the movie. And they were explored. They were dealt with. And although the movie wrapped up quite nicely, there is potential for a follow-up. And that leaves me interested and excited to see what is going to happen in the future. If I was to rate this movie out of 10, I'd give it a 7, maybe an 8. Only because I'm not a huge fan of the franchise walking into it. Like, I am, but I wasn't super into it. I'm not knowing every little thing. And horror isn't usually something I go with when it comes to movies. But I really still enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good. The themes in it, although dark, were decent and suitable for the audience that it was targeting. Here in Australia, it got the M rating, so 15 years and above. Recommended for 15 years and above, I should say. In the session that I went to watch, there was a few younger children in the audience, probably 9, 10. They seemed to handle it, but I don't know. I not their parents. I'm not responsible or aware of what those kids are like and what they've been exposed to. But I would definitely recommend being more mature walking into this rather than younger. I definitely wouldn't take my son, niece, or nephew, or anyone like that to it if it was me. But that's just that's just my input. Other than that, good movie. I definitely recommend checking it out. Even if you feel like, okay, what is it? Something different. I definitely recommend checking it out. I'm not going to praise it to the high heavens, but it's only because I know what themes are involved, and I know that there's going to be a lot of young kids, and I've spoken to a few who are family and friends of mine who want to see it, and after seeing it, I would recommend that they rethink it and probably keep the kids back just for a few more years until they get a bit more older. For me, loved it, liked it. It was great, but that's why I'm giving it an 8, because for the younger audiences, I don't think it's appropriate. And you've got a lot of younger ones who are grown up knowing the books, knowing them about the games, who probably want to see it. But I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you like, what you'd like to see in the future. Any feedback or positive feedback will be helpful. And I'll continue to work on some more videos for you in the future. Please, once again, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. See you next time.